What's up, truck drivers? It's Kenny again. This will be my first real video, and we're going to talk about whether or not you need a CB radio in your truck. I got a CB radio in my truck. In my opinion, if you want to be a real truck driver, you need to have a CB radio in your truck too. Now, in these videos, you're going to see me talk a lot about how things used to be versus how things are now. 20 years ago, things was a lot different. And I think that I have a unique perspective because I was on the road back then, and then I came off the road, and then I came back. So these differences are super apparent to me out here because, it's like I don't know, it's a drastic change. It was a drastic change coming back. But as far as CB goes, let's talk about how it used to be on the CB. Years ago, 20 years ago, I could run across any state and I would know where every bear was across that whole state. Bear, police officer, cop. A lot of y'all don't even speak truck driver. I would know where every cop was across that whole state. Now, the difference today with that particular aspect of the CB is that trucks are slower in relation to the speed limits. We got a lot of 70 and 70 mile an hour speed limits, 70, 75, 65 mile an hour speed limits now. Back then, there was a lot of places that was 55 and 60. There was whole states that was 55 mile an hour all the way across. Back in the day, Ohio had a split truck speed limit all the way across, 55 miles an hour for trucks. And when you would roll up to the edge of that state, man, you knew where every cop was before you ever crossed the state line. You knew where all them cops were. There'd be somebody on the other side saying, there's one at the 283, one at the 315, one at the 104. They'd tell you where they all were. But anyway, back to today. So today, you don't get that a whole lot because the speed limits are different. In fact, today, like my truck does 65. I'm a company driver, so most places I can't even speed. And I think a lot of drivers are like that. They're in trucks that don't go very fast, and so they don't really need to know where all the cops are because they can't go fast enough to get a speeding ticket. So that's something that's changed, as far as trucks go, and as far as the use of the CB radio goes. But even still, the CB is a very useful tool for truck drivers, and I'm going to tell you why. We're going to talk about it. It ain't just about knowing where the cops are, alright? I don't really need to know where the cops are. I ain't speeding. I ain't doing nothing wrong. I ain't got nothing on me, and that's probably the majority of us these days. There's other situations where CB is really useful. Did you ever come up over the top of a hill and all the traffic up over the hills just had a dead stop and you had to slam on your brakes and almost run into somebody's ass end because you couldn't see them from coming up on that hill? Well, that's because you didn't have a CB. It's because you didn't have a CB radio. Because 9 times out of 10, people are going to be on the radio talking about brake check at the 103. Brake check at the 89, whatever the mile marker is. You're going to know about that before you get to it. Maybe not all the time, but the majority of the time. You remember that time a couple of weeks ago when somebody flipped an 18-wheeler in the middle of the freeway and you sat on the freeway for 3 fucking hours at a dead stop? That happened because you didn't have no CB radio. Now, I ain't saying that you can always get around an accident, but the first thing that happens when a truck flips over and blocks the whole freeway and they shut the whole freeway down and traffic starts backing up, first thing that happens, all the truck drivers go and they turn their CB up and they're all like, hey, what's going on? What lane do I need to be in? What happened and everything? And then the next thing that happens is the people on the other side, them 5 or 6 guys out of 50 that have their CB on, they're running down past that on the other side and they're saying, hey man, you got an accident at the 84, you might want to try to find your way to take an exit. You need to take exit 80 and make a right and go down to 15 and make a left, and that'll get you around it. You know, and that CB saved you from sitting 3 hours in traffic jam. It's happened multiple times for me. And you know, you can't always get around the accident, but at least you know it's coming. And like I say, that's the first thing that happens when there's an accident is everybody's on a CB. You know, I'd say 50-60% of the time you could have avoided that traffic jam because you'd have known 10 miles up the road that you was coming up on it. You could have figured a way around it. So that's another way that the CB is still real useful and important. You know, what else? You know, people will tell you when there's something on the side of the road. People will tell you if there's a big old piece of wood in the middle of the road. You know, that there's not as many guys with CBs, so it doesn't always happen like it used to, but it still happens. You know, people warn me about stuff on the CB all the time. People tell you got a headlight out. People tell you if you blew a trailer tire and didn't feel it or didn't see it. You know, people tell you. I mean, a CB is an important tool, and you should all go buy one. People say the CB is annoying, and sometimes it can be annoying. You know, you're going through Atlanta and everybody's on the CB, and all they're doing is bitching and complaining and you know, pissing and moaning about stuff on the CB, or they're making stupid comments, or they're making racist comments and stuff. It happens. You know, it can be annoying. But you know, just turn it up a little bit, and when you hear somebody on it, kick it up and see if it's something important like a wreck or something. If it ain't, just turn it back down, or you can just barely hear it, and you know that you can tell if somebody's talking on it. And then, you know, you just kick it up and ask what's going on, and if it ain't nothing important, you just turn it back down a little bit. So, and then another thing is, let me tell you this. All the pissing and moaning and the whining ass truck drivers out here, there's a lot of them. You can give them a hard time, man. It's kind of fun. I like doing it. You know, this guy, he always just, you know, people let it get to them out here on the road. They don't stay happy and positive, and then, you know, something goes wrong and every little thing starts pissing them off and they got to say something on the radio. Well, chances are the guy they're bitching at don't have a radio. You know, it's the guy in front of them in that Swift truck who ain't got no radio, and he's doing something stupid. The guy gets on the radio like, "Hey, motherfucker, get out of my fucking way. What are you doing?" I'll pop on the radio and be like, "Fuck you, motherfucker. You ain't shit. What is it?" And then, you know, this happens a lot. And he'll think it's that guy he's talking to. And I'll go back and forth with his ass, just inflaming his ass. And I know, you know, it's kind of mean or whatever. But I say, you know, if you're going to let this job give you a fucking stroke, you're going to have an aneurysm over a bunch of shit. That's on you, man. I'm going to have some fun. And, you know, you can think what you want about it, but I have fun with it sometimes. And, you know, back in the day, we used to always be on the CB. And you still see some of them guys from back in the old days talking about, "I ain't got no panties on." That's been going on for years and years and years. You go through a city and somebody be on the radio saying that. You know, so there's still a lot of them guys out there. And, you know, I still, to this day, have some pretty decent conversations here and there with people on the CB. You know, maybe it's a lot of old school guys who run with their CBs like me, but, you know, it's entertainment. It's, you know, foreknowledge of the things that are in front of you and stuff. A lot of times it's an important tool. Can you get by without it? Sure you can. But why not buy one? I mean, you can get a cheap CB, a cheap Uniden on Amazon for $20. That was when I came back on the road. I bought me a cheap $20 Uniden, stuck it in the truck until I bought my good one. You know, if you can go buy one for $20 or $30, if you can't afford that, you're doing the wrong thing, man. You're working for the wrong company or something. You know, $20-$30 on Amazon. Go get you a CB radio. It's important. Have some fun with it. Use it as a tool. Like I said, you ain't got to have it bothering you all the time turned up. You know, just turn it up just loud enough where you hear when there's some action on it, and then check it, see what's going on. If it ain't nothing important, turn it back down some. I'd like to see us get back to the CB radio. I mean, you know, yes, we have other tools now that we didn't have 20 years ago. You know, path and stuff like that. But the CB, you know, it gives you more info, gives you some feedback from people. You know, they'll let you know something's going to hurt you directly in front of you and stuff a lot of times. You know, I'd like to know how and when things turned away from the CB and why people stopped having one, because it's not any less of a valuable tool now than it was then. The problem is that a lot of people don't have it, you know. And I say a lot, I don't really know the actual percentage of people who don't have a CB, but I know that most of them keep it down most of the time. I honestly think it's got to do something with the trainers and the training that's provided, or rather not provided. And you know, I'm going to do a video on that, about the trainers and about my experience, because when I came back on the road, I had to do a little refresher course, and they made me go out with a trainer,